أو كيف السبيل.
Humanity sets the agenda.
Summer is almost upon us, and that means warmer weather, cooler drinks, holidays, vacations, and unwanted guests. Snakes, that is. What do you do when you come across a snake in your yard or your home? Let's find out with snake catcher Nick Evans. Good morning, Nick.
Morning. Thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you for joining me. First of all, why do we find snakes in our midst a lot during the summer?
Well, the warmer weather, snakes need sun for energy, so it's obviously warmer conditions mean they have more energy. It's also a time of year when their food is active, like frogs and lizards. So they got a lot of food out, and in early summer, it's the mating season for many snake species.
Which are the most dangerous snake species available in South Africa?
Well, I prefer to call snakes defensive because they're only really most of the time dangerous when we make them dangerous. But I suppose the black mamba is the most feared. Their reputation is a bit over-exaggerated. They're not really aggressive. But their bite, that and the bite of the Cape Cobra would be the most dangerous bite. But like with any snake, if you leave it alone, it'll leave you.
How do you identify these snakes?
Well, in South Africa, we're lucky, I think, to have many species of snake. The black mamba, easiest way to identify a black mamba size. A really large snake, get over 2 meters long, well over 2 meters. Cape cobras, they're also pretty large. They're in the Cape. We've got so many. We've got puff adders. There's no easy way to distinguish a venomous snake from a non-venomous snake. You just have to try and educate yourself a little bit. There's lots of resources on the internet, many different books on snakes. The more you learn, the easier it is to identify. There's some groups on Facebook, like Snakes of South Africa. There's the African Snakebite Institute app, which you can download. The more you learn about them, the less you'll fear them as well.
What do you do if you come across a snake, whether it's dangerous, venomous, or not?
Best thing to do is to just leave it alone. So if you see a snake, just move away from it slowly. Slow movements are better. Do not try to catch it or kill it, because this is when people get bitten. A snake, just wants you to go away from it. So just leave it alone. Obviously, if you have a cobra or puff adder or mamba in your kitchen, you can't just leave it there. So it would be better to phone a snake catcher to deal with it rather than yourself, because we often bites are from people trying to catch or kill the snake.
How can you protect children and pets from snakes?
I suppose if you can educate your children and just tell them, I know kids are inquisitive, but if you could tell them to please, if they see a snake, just don't touch it, don't pick it up, rather call their parents, or if they're at school, call a teacher or any adult, and just leave it alone. And that's about it. I know many people are wondering, how can we keep snakes away? But, to keep families safe, but we cannot keep snakes away, unfortunately. There's no chemical or plant or anything like that keeps them away. Just keep your yard as neat and tidy as possible, because when there's rubbish or mess, that provides shelter for snakes and often attracts the food as well, like rats.
Yeah, I know people always say, pour gasoline or pour a diesel around your yard and cover holes and stuff, because that's where snakes usually hide and they don't like the smell of diesel. So I don't know, since you mentioned that you shouldn't pour anything because nothing repels them, so that means that it doesn't really work. We will still get snakes.
It doesn't, yeah. I promise you, I go to so many homes where people put stuff around their homes, but I'm there catching a snake, or if the snake goes in the room, people try and chase it up by burning a tire or burning it in some other way. But yeah, none of it really works.
Mm. And what do you do when, or if you get bitten by a snake, whether it's venomous or not?
If you're bitten by a snake, it's easy to say, but try not to panic. Try to keep calm. But if anyone's bitten by a snake, that person needs to be transported to hospital immediately. Sometimes people try and catch or kill the snake to take to hospital for identification. Please don't do that. As I mentioned, it can result in a bite. A photo will help, but it doesn't matter too much. The doctors treat the symptoms, and they could probably figure out what snake's responsible for the bite. But yeah, there's no real home remedies. Just get to hospital.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and you mentioned earlier that what we shouldn't do is try to catch the snake or kill it. So what other mistakes do we make?
I mean, occasionally people step on snakes, often at night time when they can't see. People step on them by accident, and obviously a snake can't push us off or shout at us to say you can't do that. So unfortunately, that's when bites also happen. So yeah, I mean, I suppose if you're walking around the property outside at night, just maybe have a torch and just keep an eye on where you're standing. But other than that, yeah, most of the mistakes happen when people think a snake is harmless, like maybe they think it's a house snake. They pick it up and it turns out to be a venomous snake. So
All right, no.
Yeah.
All right, so don't pick up snakes, don't try to kill them, and leave them alone, especially if they're just passing through. Now, as a snake handler, what is your job? What do you do?
So yeah, when people encounter snakes that they don't want on their property, they phone me, and I go out and remove the snake. I don't sell the snake, keep the snake, or kill the snake. A lot of people ask me if I kill them. I relocate them into a safer area. I'm also doing research on the snakes I catch, especially black mambas. So yeah, I enjoy research and learning more about these animals.
Now, there's this misconception that snakes are dangerous and snakes are bad. You know, how can we help change the negative perspective that people have about snakes?
Yeah, it's all about education. People they don't know much about them. There's a lot of myths around, a lot of scary movies or just, myths. So education is very important. That's what I try and do as well. So I can do talks at schools or companies just to educate people. Just so people can learn. That's pretty much the best way, just to try and educate yourself about these animals. And you'll realize they're not so scary. They're not evil. They're also just trying to survive. They are important in our environment, especially for rat control. So yeah, I think one of the main things is people think snakes want to bite them, but they certainly don't. They are scared of us.
All right. Now, is there anything that you can do to avoid getting snakes in your yard?
No, as I mentioned, there's no repellent or anything. Keep your yard as neat and tidy as possible. Some people just put concrete and cut every tree or shrub, but that doesn't really help either. So yeah, just keep it neat and tidy. Hope for the best. It doesn't sound helpful. That's the reality of it.
And quickly, how can people contact you should they have a snake problem?
People can phone me on 072 809 5806.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Nick. Have a wonderful day.
I appreciate it. Thank you. You too.
Nick Evans, a snake handler or snake catcher, taking us through what to do when you come across a snake in your yard, in your school, in your place of work, your place of employment, etc. And one of the things he mentioned was just leave the snake alone. Most of the times, the snake is just trying to pass through. The snake is lost. The snake is looking for food, etc. So don't try and be a hero and kill the snake, or try and touch it, or whatever it is. Just leave the snake alone and call a professional. Called someone like Nick, a snake handler. Nick is based in the Durban area, so that's where a lot of the snakes are actually found. In fact, there's a show on the television about it that I watch all the time. Surprisingly, I don't really like snakes, but it's good to be educated on what is out there, so that when you see something dangerous that looks like a snake, then you will know how to act and how to react. Something like a spitting cobra, you would know that you keep your distance, or wear glasses or something, so that if it spits on you, then you are covered. And by the way, the spit can reach up to 3 meters, so you just need to take precautionary measures there. And like I said, also don't be a hero. Call the professionals for help, and should you be bitten by a snake, go to the emergency room as soon as possible. If you can take a picture, then do so, but also describe very well what type of snake you had encountered, or if you're with someone, then all the better, because I don't think you will be able to even recall or remember anything that took place. So yeah, just take precautionary measures, clean your yard, make sure that there are no crevices or empty spaces to make it easy for the snakes to hide, because they're looking for food and safety, shelter. If rats are probably going to be around the area, and they're going to go back home to resort to their resting place, to their place where they're going to lay their eggs, etc. So make sure that your space is cleaned up, your yard is cleaned up, and also tell your kids about them. Make it educational with your kids. Let them watch shows on what type of snakes are available around the area in South Africa, and they are educated, and you are also educated in the process. All right, it is 11:17. Just stay with us. We'll be right back after the break.